having new content on the site consistently, Google likes that as well.
Yeah.
Going back to trust, I think it just shows that you're a thought leader. You're, consistently, you've got your finger on the pulse, and you're putting out that information to educate your prospects and your customers. And if you're not doing that, then especially in the age of information that we're at, it's really quick that people will just move on.
Welcome to Modern Marketing Messages, the leading podcast discussing the latest and greatest in both online and offline marketing tactics, strategies, and trends. I'm your host, Taylor Karg, marketing content writer at AmericanEagle.com. Today, we're going to talk all about digital marketing in 2024, including current trends for both B2B and B2C brands, which channels are proving to be the most valuable, the least valuable, and much more. To do that, I have here with me Kaitlyn McCormick, Zeina, Yacoub, and Andrew Attwood. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks, Taylor.
Can you please all introduce yourselves, including, your role at AmericanEagle.com and a little bit about your, daily activities? And Andrew, I'll have you go first since you're on the screen here.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm Andrew Attwood. I'm a senior digital marketing strategist here at AmericanEagle.com. I've been working here for just a little over 2 years, working in the strategy team as well as working in both the social media and email marketing teams. I've spent about last 10 years of my career working in digital marketing, traditional marketing, communications, working in all different types of businesses, B2B, B2C, nonprofit, all over the spectrum. Day to day here at AmericanEagle.com, I work a lot with a lot of channel specialists on each one of my client teams, where we build omni-channel strategies, looking at how we can work inside of the B2B and B2C industries that we work in. I work across the board, many different types, from pharma to transportation, all the way down to the local locksmiths, type of businesses as well. So day to day, we build strategies and work through the uniqueness of each of the business strategies to ultimately achieve the marketing business goals of each one of our clients.
Awesome. And Andrew, I don't think I've really gotten, many opportunities to work with you or speak with you. So I'm excited, to pick your brain more about, all of your digital marketing expertise today. And Zeina, do you want to go next?
Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Andrew said it the best. I am also a senior digital marketing strategist here at AmericanEagle.com. My role, as Andrew mentioned, is really leading teams of very talented channel specialists and just making sure that all pieces of the marketing puzzle fit together seamlessly, and that we're kind of taking a holistic view of all of the marketing initiatives that we are putting forth for our clients, and really making sure that everything that we're doing and every tactic we're taking is providing value back to the business.
Awesome. And Zeina, you're actually not, you're seasoned Modern Marketing Messages guest now. This is, I think, your second or third time on the show.
I think it's my second time.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Kaitlyn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Kaitlyn McCormick. I am one of our digital marketing strategist team leads. So me and 2 other individuals manage the teams of Andrew and Zeina. So we work with a lot of different customers. Andrew and Zeina said it best. I work a lot with our B2B clients, and then work with the internal team to just kind of establish some processes, take a look at how we are strategizing for our clients and making sure to deliver the best results for our customers.
Awesome. It seems like I have 3 really great guests on the show today. I'm excited to learn all about, digital marketing in 2024. So let's get started. My very first question, what are some hot digital marketing trends right now? And what do you think, is contributing to those trends' popularity?
I think everybody's talking about AI.
Yeah.
That's like the newest thing, whether it's good or bad. I think it could be both. But I think that's like the biggest trend that everybody's at least talking about. That and like AI used in chatbots.
Yeah.
I've just been hearing a lot about that, and I actually have customers asking me about that pretty much every week.
Like about chatbots
and just AI tools in general. I know that, I've used it to make my life a little bit easier, just like with efficiencies with like brainstorming or recapping my notes or summarizing some data and trying to give, me some tips on how to kind of speak to that.
Yeah.
But I think AI could also be dangerous and
Yeah.
in a bad thing. I know there's like copyright issues and things with like content, and that could be a little taboo, but I've used it a little bit. So I think that that's kind of a big thing, a big topic.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And we'll actually dig more into AI later. But yeah, that's definitely something to get the ball rolling for it later.
Yeah.
Zeina, how about you? What do you think is popular right now? What are some great trends?
To go off of Kaitlyn as well, I think efficiency is huge, especially as we come into 2024 and we're kind of in an age of marketing where every year looks very different. I would say, as a strategist, my answer is going to be more on the numbers side of things.
Okay.
I've been in the digital marketing space for about 8 years now. And what I've noticed is we've kind of transitioned from, using marketing to really bring that engagement to the business, right? Taking a look at, are people coming to the website? Are people engaging with our emails? Are we gaining followers on social media? And those, performance indicators are very important, but I think we're kind of in an era now where how are we tying marketing back to the overall business goals of our clients? So really taking it a step further and saying, hey, our marketing initiatives help drive X% ROI for you guys. So it's very much just digging deeper and being more data driven in our decisions and not just looking at those vanity metrics, as we call them.
Yeah.
And really just striking a balance between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, everybody in this industry and even not in this industry can agree that ROI is probably, on the top of everybody's mind at all times. Because why else would you invest your hard-earned money into something if it's not, if you're not receiving any returns?
Yeah.
Andrew, do you have anything to add to, what's popular right now?
Yeah, I kind of would piggyback off of Zaina's topic there of I think for a while everyone tried everything and wanted to just kind of fire hose the industry with whatever they could in marketing and try every single tactic and just try to see what they could get in return. But I think we're learning through actually looking at the ROI of every single one of our channel efforts, the omni-channel strategies that have been engaged, is trying to figure out what actually is providing those wins and giving us that ROI. So stepping back and looking at what are our best efficiencies between content development and distribution, but then also looking at how in this year most people can kind of put their time and efforts and money behind what is going to be the most return. So I think efficiencies, which leans into that AI conversation like Kaitlyn mentioned too, how does that work for us and how does that hurt us? And how is the industry and those around us kind of impacting us in that way? But I think it's definitely an important topic to consider as we think about where do I put my efforts, how much do I put into everyone, or how do I focus into the particular channels that are best and most beneficial inside of my industry or inside of specifically what my efforts can afford.
Yeah, absolutely. So what has been the biggest change that you guys have seen from last year compared to this year? I know, all three of you are pretty seasoned marketers at this point. So is there anything that sticks out in your mind?
I think taking that holistic approach, I think coming into this year, really taking a look at all of your channels, going off of Andrew's point there, taking a look at your marketing as kind of a package of different channels working together.
Yeah.
I think last year and even prior to that, it was really easy to, fall into the trap of, oh, let's just look at email. Let's just send out an email when we need to, right? Let's put out a social post when we feel like we need to. Reactive marketing doesn't work anymore. And now we're kind of shifting towards being more intentional with what we're doing, incorporating marketing into the actual business plan and really weaving it into the goals of an organization. That's, I think, the biggest change that I'm noticing. And that really brings us challenges, and in a good way, to really be able to communicate what that value is. And I don't know, Kate or Andrew, if you agree, I find that one of the challenges of my job is really honing in on and explaining what that value is, specifically, to, executive level individuals who are kind of tuned into the big picture of the organization and really helping them understand, like, this is actually an investment and not a cost for you.
Yeah. I was going to ask too, have you guys found, when you're talking to clients, and you kind of mentioned like a hard time explaining why you decided to do what you do. We want to do, these 4 channels because this makes the most sense for your brand. Have you guys found that people have a hard time like accepting, some of your recommendations, or is it like, oh, tell me about that process a little bit? Because I don't obviously
Yes.
work with clients very frequently, so I don't really know how that all happens.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that Zeina and I talk about every week.
Literally
It's
every
like,
week.
it's like, how do I explain this to
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't really understand marketing or maybe just isn't as exposed to it as we are day to day? But I find that a nice way to explain it is when you look at a client's competitors, what are they doing? What are they not doing?
Yeah.
We want to do this because they're not doing that. We think that there's an opportunity here. Or we're behind your competitor because they are doing these initiatives and we haven't even tackled that yet. So we need to keep up with the times, keep up with the competitors, and then try some new things that they might not be doing.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a good way to have them look at it.
Yeah. I applaud you guys for tackling that and trying to explain to clients, because that seems quite difficult.
And just data too, in general. It's like if you put data behind something, it's like that's
People more easily understand it
Definitely.
and are more willing to, I think.
definitely.
So,
So that's why I think it's helpful that we do like whether we do weekly reporting, bi-weekly reporting, monthly reporting, like as long as your clients are kind of up to date on like where they're at digitally, like from maturity level, like where are we at? And then you can say, okay, well, there's opportunity in email. We're not really driving a lot of traffic from this channel. Maybe they're a B2C customer and email is a great way to, target existing customers that you may have had or really get into that channel. So, I mean, kind of telling the story through data.
yeah, I gotcha.
Storytelling, that's the big one. Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
Kate and I, for reference, Kate is my manager and one of my mentors here, so we're always talking about
so
these
sweet.
things.
We talk every day.
Literally all the time. And we're just always collaborating on like, how do we tell this story? How do we visualize it to someone who kind of needs to take a step back and, understand like the basics of marketing and walk them through like how this helps your business. And especially, when it comes to something like Google Ads, for example, you're putting an additional ad spend, towards this.
Right.
So I think sometimes clients can get a little bit nervous about that. But, that's why we're here. We're checking in. Digital marketing happens really fast. The developments in our industry are so quick and rapid, and staying on top of those is going to be really important. And all of our channel specialists are very skilled at that, and they understand the time sensitivity of everything that we're doing. So that would be kind of one of those things that you might walk a client through if they're feeling a little bit nervous about, I'm about to put like X amount of dollars towards these ads. Are they actually going to work? So.
Yeah. I think time sensitivity too is a huge one, because I'm sure, even internally, it can take some time to make decisions. And you're almost like, oh, this is kind of taking a little bit too long. We're missing all of this because it's sitting there, with the higher ups thinking, oh, maybe we want to spend the money on this. But it's like in that time you're taking to decide, we could have, done a lot with the money that we asked for. But so have you guys seen any unique or interesting digital marketing tactics being used with B2B audiences? I know you said you work a lot with our B2B clients. Is there anything unique or interesting that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think with B2B clients, we kind of talked about storytelling, or you mentioned it. That's like the big thing with B2C. And so it's like, how do you carry that to like the service end of things?
Yeah.
Like with influencer marketing being such a big thing with B2C, it's like you can't really do that with like a service.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Like, how does that? We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So I feel like on the B2B side, how do you connect to the audience by sharing a story? Well, okay, case studies, solving the problem that your audience might be facing, or like getting ahead of it that way. I feel like humanizing brands is like a big thing right now. So like webinars, can we like get in front of them somehow, get face to face? I think that those are kind of like the biggest things right now with B2B, at least that I'm seeing, or like things that I try to like workshop into my strategies that I'm executing for the customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see a lot of opportunity with, like, similar to what you're saying there, Kaitlyn, with instead of just saying we are experts or saying we have the best product or service, but actually stepping into telling the story and putting a face to the industry leader, who you are, diving more into that with uh, intellectual proof, customer review proof, building some trust factors in that way that kind of identify you in that way from the perspective of those customers that you have, and letting that be the brand voice as you build that and grow that. Some customers are kind of in between going, we have been an industry expert for 30 or 40 years and something's changing, what's going on there, and reevaluating what that looks like in the industry for them, and kind of relearning with them who are their new competitors, who are those that are coming up that weren't there before, and helping them reestablish what that looks like. And some of those previous tactics that were absolutely successful in the digital marketing space may need to shift or change or adapt in a new way or have a new voice to them. Seems to be a good conversation to have at this point too in the B2B space, because the audiences are growing, and there's a lot of new opportunity. I know there's lots of great new B2B e-commerce opportunity that seems to be growing through lots of website development as well, and figuring out how that's going to work more and more. And so as that occurs, more are building more and learning more about your brand and about your audience has been a big part of the B2B experience.
Yeah, absolutely. That all makes sense.
I think kind of going off of, you were talking about different like user experience on a site. Like I think another thing is more like interactive things on a website. So like I have a client where they have like, fill this out and to get your assessment of your XYZ. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to fill that out and I'm going to kind of know immediately where I might be at. And then I can contact them if I need more information. Or like I have another B2B customer where we just built them a interactive dashboard that like shows their product, what pieces are within that, how it can kind of benefit. So it kind of like solves the problem for the audience. And it's like this interactive dashboard. You like click through the different panels and there's different like hover pieces that come up that explains what each piece is. And like since we launched that in like mid-March, we've already had like a huge increase on their like engagement rate on their page that we've like reported to them already. They've seen some like conversions from that. And so I think interactivity of the website is like a great thing to add to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've honestly, most of the B2B websites I've seen, like that seems like that's going to make them, different from their competitors, something very interactive and informative, because a lot of B2B companies sell, very complex services, parts, whatever, that like the average person really has no idea. And obviously I'm not going to be on that website buying something,
Right.
but like
it's a niche audience.
Yeah. I've historically B2B companies, have been a little bit slower to adopt changes. Is that still what you guys see? Or now, in 2024, with how fast digital marketing and things are moving, has that changed at all? Or are they still a little bit slower, to adapt to new technologies, solutions, et cetera?
To me, I would say yes, it definitely can be slower in terms of adapting those, newer type of tactics that are coming
Yeah.
up. But I think also more important than that is really trying to shift the understanding of the value of marketing and digital marketing specifically, from just looking at, how did one channel perform within the ROI versus, what are all the channels that contributed to that. So, for example,
Don't get us started on this.
no, don't. That's been our struggle, specifically, on the B2B side of
Struck a
things.
nerve right there.
Just a little triggered.
When I said we talk every day, this is one of those.
Yes. But with the B2B user experience is very different than B2C. For example, it's more likely for me to go on Instagram and impulse buy some shoes from a retargeting ad that I've been seeing for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. I literally just did that last week.
Right, exactly. Like, do it all the time. But when it comes to B2B, you've got someone within a professional capacity who's representing an organization and is probably doing some research on who you are and who your competitors are. They might be going back and forth to your website. Maybe at one point they might have seen a billboard on the, on the highway. Then they might have visited your website organically a couple of days later. Then maybe a month later, they might, take your, your company as like a prospective vendor and bring it to their manager and say, I think this is like the right way to go. There are so many steps that go into it that are so different from like a B2C kind of workflow user journey. And I think really having an understanding of that and helping our clients understand that is huge. And it'll really help showcase, the true value of their investment instead of just looking at, oh, SEO alone brought this lead. Well, that's not entirely true.
Yeah.
So how do we dig deeper into that?
Yeah, B2B buyers, they definitely do more extensive research than on the B2C side.
And that makes sense.
I
And I
agree
feel
with that.
as they should too, especially like Zeina said, they're representing, a business.
Yeah.
And it's normally a lot more, monetary investment than it is just buying
It's a big decision.
shoes or a sweatshirt from Nike or something. So what about B2C brands? Have you guys seen any interesting tactics being used with your B2C clients?
This is not a client. This is just a personal experience, but I love the Instagram shop and the TikTok shop. I have been influenced many times.
It's so addictive.
Many times. It's really nice to like, you have something pop up and you're like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this. And you just buy it within the app.
Yeah.
It doesn't take you to like another site or anything.
I don't know if I've ever done that.
Yeah. So I've been influenced many times on both, but I can tell you all about it. So like I follow this boutique in Chicago and they had like some gifts I have a friend who's recently pregnant. So they have like new mom type things. And I was like, I don't really feel like making my way into the boutique and having to find parking and everything.
Yeah.
And so I just like saw it on the Instagram app. Boom, boom, I'm done. And then I'm getting emails from Instagram like, your package shipped. And I'm like, cool, that was easy. Like I literally did that in less than 4 minutes. Like so quick.
Especially now with like Apple Pay and all those B2C brands being integrated with Apple Pay. I'm like, that was the easiest thing I've ever bought.
Yeah. And you can do that through TikTok too, the TikTok shop.
Wow.
And you don't have to leave the app.
It
keeps you
crazy
in the app. Yeah.
And, to go off of that too, Kate, like you said, you've been influenced because specifically on TikTok, I noticed, I don't know if I've seen it much on Instagram, maybe, but those TikTok shop, products will pop up as kind of an organic user generated video.
For
and
sure.
It's someone coming out and saying, hey guys, look at this pair of pants that I found. Like, they're so great. They're so stretchy. They wash well. Like, go buy them on the TikTok shop.
Yeah.
Right. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is removing obstacles to purchase in the B2C space, with Apple Pay, that makes it easier to check out TikTok and Instagram shop. It's like a couple of steps and you've made the purchase.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be really big, and is really big for B2C, is just removing as many obstacles as possible.
Yeah.
Or
That's
that
great.
the shop pay, like I have an account on there and it like has all my credit card information and it's like it all pre-populates. I'm like, that was too easy.
Oh, Shop Pay. I gotta check that out too.
I think
Not that I need to shop
I think it's
more,
a product of Shopify, but they have like a shop app now. And so you can like, you get your shipping information and tracking and all that within the app, but now you can like purchase stuff through that app too. So
really, wow.
I think it's getting ultra dangerous. Yeah.
Andrew, is there anything that you've seen, with your B2C clients or just, in the marketplace in general?
I would say I would second a lot of that. I think that shop app is awesome because the promotional element, I'm seeing a lot of brands finding opportunities to share additional promotions through that secondary source, through shop or through others, which I think is a great opportunity. Plus, I think it's transitioning well to help brands with their own e-commerce sites be a lot more user-friendly. And like you said, Zeina, break away from any of those barriers to checkout. So you're seeing a lot of improvements. I see a lot of companies and brands that are making a big improvement on when someone lands from a retargeting ad, even onto their site, even off of those apps, that they're able to get right to checkout from the product that they're reviewing on those applications and really get there quickly. But I also think from the digital marketing perspective of how we do this well is also integrating how somebody comes back. And I'm seeing that get a lot more integrated, that when it's added to cart and they abandon and they come back and get reminded in a way that's not just, oh, your product was left, but finding some creative ways to re-engage a user in that experience, I feel like is really becoming almost essential to every B2C client and customers out there, because I think if they're not doing that, they miss that opportunity. And then the experience for the customer goes away, and you don't get to really permeate your brand voice and the opportunity to share that. So I've seen that being a lot more important and popular as well, but essential to kind of keep the B2C experience going.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That's great. So we talked a little bit about this earlier when we were talking about, current trends, but now let's get into AI. How do we think AI is going to, impact marketing teams and their work this year and I guess in the future?
I think AI has always been a part of digital marketing. It's not a new phenomenon at all. For instance, Google Ads has always used machine learning to help bring the right people to our ads, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's always been a thing. I think now it's more so integrated in our day-to-day and will get more integrated in our day-to-day. But as Kaitlyn said at the beginning, double-edged sword that we really have to keep in mind. There are times where AI are meant to make our jobs faster and more efficient, especially in a very fast-paced, fast-developing industry. Freeing up time as much as possible to focus on the strategy piece of things, to focus on that holistic approach. That is going to be really important and is. So definitely something to be used with caution right now. That might change very quickly with the more sophisticated that specifically generative AI will get. And then also SEO. What are the impacts on SEO now that generative AI is very quickly becoming a part of the search experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that too, especially like you said, with generative AI and, blog copy and website copy and all that. And then we don't know right now exactly how Google is going to react about it in 2 months. And in Rex, again, our marketing team and I always talk about how us humans are never going to be smarter than Google is. Like Google is going to figure out a way to ding our content somehow if people are strictly using it, to generate a blog post with a bunch of keywords and not really, generating something that's actually helpful to a site visitor or, somebody who wants to learn more about your business. So
I think AI is good to brainstorm ideas. I know I kind of said this at the beginning. I'll use it to be like, okay, well, we're marketing one specific thing. I've already wrote 5 blog posts about this thing. I need some new ideas.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of use it to come up with some ideation, but you need a human factor.
Yep. Absolutely.
To all of your pieces.
That's
what people look for now is authenticity of a brand. It's everyone's cut through the BS.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know straight up who you guys are as a brand. Just tell us how it is. I think that's what's changed with consumers. I think B2C and B2B is they want to know who you guys are. They can see through
the fluff and the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thinking about AI too, obviously we don't know how it's going to impact some of our content and stuff, but there is, great things about it. Like we all mentioned, the efficiencies and processes that save up our free time, I think is phenomenal. And there's so many, ways I think everybody kind of uses them in their day-to-day, whether idea generation for blog posts or so half the time I do it to write alt text for images for our websites because I'm I don't feel like figuring out what to write right now. So I'll just copy and paste and do that. So there are good things about it too.
You can also use it to video edit.
Really?
Not to steal your job or anything. But if we had a long video, a podcast video, for example. No. But if you had a long video, I know one of my clients is celebrating an anniversary and they had a really long video and they were okay, we want to snippet this down into different pieces. You could just use AI to give you little short clips and then, okay, let's repurpose that for YouTube Shorts.
Really?
Reels,
I didn't
TikTok,
know that
whatever.
Was a thing.
Yeah. So then
That's
you
cool.
can kind of distribute that one video across many different channels in different cuts. So,
well, speaking of video, let's talk about video content marketing. How do we think, this is going to impact and evolve the marketing industry?
I think that with TikTok being a huge trend and video being the biggest thing with TikTok, it's just video is just going to excel even more from here. But go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
No, you're fine, Kaitlyn. I was going to say video is permeating as becoming a search opportunity. I think a lot of people are going to video first for search. we often say in digital marketing that YouTube is the second most popular search engine, only second to Google, and Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
So, but to Kaitlyn's point, I think TikTok is becoming significantly important as a search engine as well, because anyone who's been on TikTok for a significant period of time knows that you can both shop and be educated and be entertained all within a couple of seconds on there. And I think searching through all of those opportunities for all different types of brands across B2B, B2C industries is important to consider with video. And then considering video as both like I was saying, an education, entertainment, as well as an opportunity for e-commerce tool. More than just what it kind of used to be. We had put some sort of information out there only, or we can only be entertaining. But considering how it works across each one of those elements is really important, because I know I personally do that when I'm trying to learn something or be educated on something or get an experience online. I use video as supplemental to any of the other pieces of search that I do as well. So I think it's an important part of that. If you go on Google search and the results pages, you see video being much more prevalent, I think, across all different types of channels and platforms more now than in the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you raised a great point with the whole search thing too, because thinking about it, I'm like, we're consumers, we're kind of lazy sometimes. When we Google search something, I'm like, I'd much rather watch a video on how to do it or how to take my key battery off so I can replace it or something than reading an article. And I'm like, I don't even know what this says. So I get it.
Yeah, we actually, for one of my clients, for the first time since working with them, we had a lead generated from organic video.
Really?
And then we dug into it, and it turns out that it's from a YouTube video. Someone visited the website from YouTube, came to the website, and then filled out an interest form.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was the first time I've seen this in the many months that I've been working with this client. So, and again, it was one conversion, but I'm wondering how much that's going to grow from now on.
Yeah.
One more thing on video that I think could have its own podcast is just like user generated
Yes.
video.
Yeah.
Like that's like a big thing. And that kind of goes back into my talk about authenticity and having a human element to your brand. I think those types of user generated videos are going to really take off. Like they already kind of have. Like that's not really like a new thing. I don't think. Like I feel like that was kind of big last year too. But like, I don't know. For example, I've been scrolling through TikTok a lot lately, if you can't tell by everything that I'm talking about. But like for like an airline, like I see a lot of like the flight attendants doing something special for someone on the plane for XYZ, or like a pilot's talking at the front of the plane, like his wife and his baby are flying with them today. And I feel like that content's like trending on Twitter or on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's like people are filming on the plane, and it's like, oh wow, Southwest Airlines is so wholesome.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's like a really good trend too, because it's like, oh wow, I really like flying on that airline. Like, okay, I've had a good experience there, I'd fly there again maybe. So I just think that type of content is great too from a video aspect.
Yeah, and that goes along with what you were saying before about authenticity and just showing the human side of all these brands that we know and use regularly, but we just they're still always just going to be a brand to us unless there's things like that kind of show there's people behind the brand.
Yeah, and customers want to feel like they found you.
Yeah,
they don't want it the other way around.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think video makes it really easy for that, and especially the user generated content aspect of it. I think influencer marketing ties into that as well. I know that I have been influenced many times
time and time
again because I've been watching certain creators on YouTube and TikTok since I was like 13, and I still watch them today. Like back when the makeup guru era was like a big thing, right? That's where I took my makeup recommendations from, and that's where I continue to do that because I know this is a creator I've been following for a while and I can trust their judgment. The product itself, you don't necessarily know that it's a paid promotion until they say that. But then even then you start to think, oh, I trust this person. I've been like, watching their stuff and taking their recommendations for a while. So I trust that if they're taking money for a sponsorship, that they're, still recommending a good product.
Yeah.
So I think that like connection, that organic connection really helps a lot. And that's one thing that I try to talk to my clients about as well. It's a big can of worms. So just kind of like condensing that a little bit and showing them the human touch is so important nowadays, especially I think it's a pendulum effect from going like from automation, efficiency, AI, and now people want to go back to the opposite side of things.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys think influencer marketing is trending in the same direction as video marketing? You know, we just kind of saying all those phrases about video marketing. Do we think influencer marketing is here to stay, is only going to get bigger?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yes, because I think people get like a connection, like Zeina was just talking about. She like has this connection to certain influencers that she may have been following for a really long time. Yeah. It's like I'm in the same boat. Like I have a handful of influencers that's like I always want to see what outfits they're wearing.
Yeah. What, you almost feel personally connected to them too. You're like, oh, like she had a baby. Right. Oh my god.
They'll share stuff about their life, and you're like, wow, I know them. Yeah. But yeah, that's why I think that ties into the human element. One thing about influencer marketing that I don't think is gonna stay is I feel like there used to be like it was very obvious that they were like recording themselves like this is a product that I use. I recommend like it was like kind of like scripted staged, almost. Yeah. And then it's like you never hear that person promote that product again.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's more of the relationship building of the brands with those people. I haven't seen really like one-off like scripted type influencer marketing lately because I don't think that was it.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
I agree with you, Kaitlyn. I think it kind of goes back to the old communication method of word of mouth. Like, I think we're actually in that place where it's less of a marketing message in the influencer marketing, and it's truly just a word of mouth influence where I'm actually able to share with you genuinely and authenticity wise, like share all of those details with you about the product that I actually use or like and enjoy and use on a daily basis. So it feels like it's a part of your life. So you're stepping into their kind of community, if you will, and sharing like, I actually use this and I represent it in my day-to-day rather than just I'm a voice of a brand through my influence. It does feel like I'm able to actually understand and be influenced by someone I know, or I can feel like I relate to or see myself in a way that was different than before. I would totally agree with you, Kaitlyn.
Andrew said it best.
Yeah, I agree too. And I think even thinking back on like my Instagram feed or whatever, I can think of a few influencers off the top of my head who actively say like, I only showcase products that I use and enjoy. Yep. I don't do it just because they're paying me and I don't actually like this product. So I'm like, that kind of stuff is definitely, what I trust more too than just, a silly little ad. But,
when I talk to my cousins who are very young in elementary school and I ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? They say an influencer.
Oh my gosh.
That's like, and this is not the first time that I've heard this from like a kid.
Yeah.
I think that is just a testament to how influencer marketing is only going to continue to grow because it's starting to get embedded into people's lives, like before they even can remember.
Yeah.
So, you already have 5-year-olds watching. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those like toy videos. Like,
the child is making like $6 million a year just reviewing toys on YouTube. I'm like, where was this when we were?
And you know who's watching that? Kids and their parents.
Yeah.
So, that I think taking that and running with it, if you can, if it's something that makes sense for your business to kind of have that organic presence across everywhere your customers might live. That's going to be huge. It takes a lot of planning. It's a heavy lift, but I think if you can get there, you're cooking with gas.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of ROI, which digital marketing channels are proving to be the most valuable, right now or within the last year?
I think email's always a big one.
It probably depends on the brand too.
And it does depend on the brand.
Yeah, that's why I'm hesitating. Yeah. I was going to say I'm a big advocate for SEO.
Yes.
Just going back to all of the conversations that we were just having about AI and all of these things, it's like you got to double down on your SEO. But it's more like a long-term ROI, and it's sometimes hard to show right away, because sometimes it could take months for things to really kind of take off and for SEO. But I think that's a channel that's like kind of a must in this day in marketing. Like you need to have that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, people want to feel like they found you.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
what better way to, bring more awareness to your brand than investing in your organic presence in search and otherwise.
Yeah.
I know for me, I just kind of try to scroll down from the sponsored ads to like actually see what are the actual organic posts that are
I do
that
the
are
same.
ranking,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. It's interesting. I agree with SEO being huge, and it's going to continue to be that way. It is a challenge. It's hard to justify sometimes because it can take a long time to
Yeah,
really
it's
see
kind of
the
hard to like
ROI.
show black and white the ROI sometimes.
Yeah.
Where with like paid search or like paid shopping ads, you can kind of show.
And that's more quick too, right? Like you can see
show
the results a lot quicker.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Andrew, anything to add on that?
I would agree with SEO being a significant part of it. I think it also is significant because it's impacting your website. So any of those opportunities that you want to do down the road with your website, UX related, e-commerce related, even just content related, SEO is significant to make sure that that's impactful on that organic traffic, on that user experience. I actually think another channel that maybe is often ignored in that experience is email. If you don't have a strong email marketing strategy, but you drive a large amount of organic traffic to your website, you may be bouncing a lot of people off, but not able to capture them to nurture them through further into your brand, to your services as well. It's a great opportunity to be able to gather and share more about your brand and voice and your products and your services in a way that sometimes offers promotional experience, sometimes offers just a more back to that authenticity and personal connection, sometimes engages them just a little bit further through that as well. And I think those can work hand in hand pretty well when you're trying to drive a lot of traffic to your site. Gathering some active and captive users is a great way to engage them when they land there.
I know my email clients specifically tend to have really high conversion rates because,
Really?
You have to consider typically in a well-built email program, you're reaching out to people who have raised their hands and said, I want to know more about your business.
Yeah.
And so, they're expecting to get emails from you. They want to learn more. They want to keep like having that touch point with you. And so really it's just a matter of continuing to stay in front of them wherever they are. And one of those places that they frequent is their email inbox.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something for, I would say, across all of the industries and clients that I represent. I do try to recommend email as just kind of that more high converting touch point, because it really does support that organic initiative. It supports paid. It really just helps engage the audience and warm them up, as opposed to kind of those upper funnel efforts that we need in order to get to the point where email is as successful as possible.
I agree with that. And like you can segment so easily, like I don't want to say easily, but you can like segment the audiences and then cater that messaging. They've already said that they're interested in you. Now you can cater that messaging to that particular audience. And yeah, I think that that's a great channel.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
So in terms of what's not working right now in digital marketing, is there any strategy that was working well, 2 to 3 years ago, and now you're seeing it kind of fade away to make room for, video marketing, influencer marketing, all that?
I was going to say like just heavy content and long blogs. Like nobody has the attention span for that. Google's like
agreed.
Google's like cracking down on like keyword stuffing and stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like shorter blogs, get to the point, give me a couple bullet points, give me like a list of 5 reasons why, and then
a little infographic action.
Let it be done. Yeah, I don't think they need to be super long. So I think that's out.
Yeah.
I would say that additionally, like long content is just no one's reading it. But then if you're only building it in one place, it's not effective either. So I think it's making sure if you're going to build a piece of content, even if it's not a terribly long piece of content, that you have a relevant social media distribution strategy. Mm-hmm. You also have maybe some video content planned around that, an email nurturing campaign developed that you're considering where it lives. Because if you just throw it on your website, put a bunch of keywords in it and expect it to drive a bunch of return, you're missing all of those other opportunities that some of that we've highlighted already from even that content development. So I almost think putting things that don't work is throwing all your eggs in one basket in one opportunity and channel and expecting it to provide you with a return while ignoring all of those other channels that you could again, not to use easily, but really could very efficiently distribute across and actually have more return and effect.
I think a few years ago, in the industry, we were very much kind of in an experimental phase a little bit, just kind of figuring out what works. A lot of the tools that we use now looked a lot different than they do. For example, GA4, you know, that's been something that we've had to navigate in the past year. And I would also say reactive marketing, that I don't think it really worked to begin with, but I think it was a lot more prominent back then, where, you know, let's throw everything on the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
You know, that I think that
I don't recommend doing that.
no, do not do that. Because, you know, there's really no way to be able to track success from, you know, being able to just, you know, spray it and like spray and pray, hope for the best, you know. It's just like we don't have to keep that in. I can rephrase.
Should we cut that?
That was awesome.
That was good.
Right.
Do we have bloopers for these?
Pray and pray, everybody. I don't even remember what you were talking about.
I actually have tears falling.
Oh my God, Taylor's crying.
I'm also crying.
You guys.
So sorry.
Spray and pray.
What you were saying was great.
But it worked. It worked.
Oh my God.
So we've been talking for quite some time now, and I have two last questions that I really want to get all of your opinions on. First one, if I have a limited budget to start, is there any typical low-hanging fruit when it comes to digital marketing? And where do you guys suggest people, you know, invest first and kind of attack that low-hanging fruit?
I think local SEO, because for local businesses, you can really optimize your Google business listing and utilize tools like Yext to really target the audience in your local area. I think that that's like a really nice, easy win.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. One of the first steps that we take with pretty much all of our clients is that local/technical SEO piece on their website. There are a lot of, you know, SEO elements that you might not see on the page that actually do make a big difference in your search rankings and your presence. So we really try to knock those out before we, you know, do anything else with adding content to the site, enhancing pages that already exist on the site.
Yeah, makes sense. Andrew, anything to add there?
I think you clean up your digital presence is making sure that you have a consistent brand voice. You've got all of your address and phone number and business location information consistent across all of the channels that you use. Social, your website, Google business listings, is making sure that you're consistent there, because it just builds trust. When I start to land and find you through organic search or any of the other strategies and there's an inconsistency in who you say you are, I lose trust and then I move on to the next brand. So easily going through and reviewing those opportunities. And then as Kaitlyn and Zeina mentioned, optimizing those, finding ways to make them better, but making sure that you're consistent is a great way to start improving those to start.
I agree with the trust side of things too. Like even on your website, like if you have a blog post from like May of 2023 and that's your most recent one, it's like, I don't want to look at this company any further.
I definitely would lose trust in a brand too.
Staying up to date and just like consistently keeping your content fresh. And then like even social media is such an easy win too. Like people care about what you're doing as an organization for like sustainability efforts or like what your company culture is like. Like that's like kind of easy things to post. Same thing as Andrew said, like if I go to a social platform, like, and they haven't posted since December. Yeah. Okay, well, we're in April. Like, why haven't you posted for 4 months?
Yeah,
so it's just kind of like, it's something
Mm-hmm.
easy to just kind of like keep up with.
Yeah, having new content on the site consistently. Google likes that as well.
Yeah.
You know, going back to trust, I think it just shows that you're a thought leader. You're, you know, consistently, you've got your finger on the pulse, you know, and you're putting out that information to educate your prospects and your customers. And if you're not doing that, then especially in the age of information that we're at, it's really quick that people will just move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have one last question for you guys, which I feel like could have been answered by all of the great advice you guys just gave right now. But let's have each person just give one piece of advice for companies, looking to step up their digital marketing game for the rest of this year. I know that's a loaded question. It's probably hard, but what's one thing that you guys would recommend?
Thinking about a customer's experience with everything that you're delivering them. And I think personalization, we kind of talked about that with like email, and I think that's really what people are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I mentioned this before, but people want to feel like they found you.
Yeah.
They don't want to feel like you're coming to them and telling them. So I would say definitely your organic presence, whether it's on search engines, whether it's even, off-site of digital marketing, really meeting your audience where they're at, especially let's say if you're a brick and mortar store, and really connecting with your audience in more unique and creative ways. That's definitely something that I'm working to achieve for all of my clients.
Yeah. Andrew, how about you? What's one piece of advice?
I would say engage or re-engage a measurement strategy, making sure that how your marketing efforts are or aren't performing well for you so that you can know exactly the type of pivots and changes you need to make. Not everything wins, and that's not a bad thing. So you understand where you need to make improvements and changes so that you can find those opportunities to grow and improve your marketing strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. You need that data to make smart business
That's a really
decisions.
good point too.
Yeah.
It's okay to fail in digital marketing.
Yeah. And it happens because everything does happen so quickly and we're constantly testing. That's just bottom line, a big part of our jobs.
For sure.
Well, and not everything is going to work for everybody too. It's just about finding what works for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We talked for almost an hour, so I appreciate all of your time. I learned a lot, and it was great getting to know you guys today.
Thanks, Taylor.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Modern Marketing Messages. For more information about the topics discussed today, check out the description of this episode. And if you like this episode, follow the podcast wherever you listen to them to stay up to date with us. While you're at it, give us a rating and share this podcast with others. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Modern Marketing Messages. This episode is brought to you by AmericanEagle.com Studios. I'm Taylor Karg, and I'll be back with another Modern Marketing Message.